All right, this training is Google Apps training and demonstration, and so happy to have you all today. So my question was, do you have a Gmail account or do you use Google Apps? And most of you say yes to having a Gmail account and having used some of the Google Apps. And I also wanted to know if you were using Microsoft Word. And so some of you say you've used Microsoft Word, but not the Google Docs or Google Apps. So again, let's see what we can learn today. And one last question that I might have for you, is there anything specific regarding the apps that you were interested in knowing about? I do have a Google Docs training that I teach, and that's on our YouTube channel as well. And I also have a Google Share documents, and I believe that's on the YouTube channel as well. So the basic questions about Google Docs, you can still ask them, but I'm going to also show you the many other apps that we have available to us when we have a free Gmail account. All right, so let me go to this slide here. So we're going to be finding the Google apps through our Gmail account, looking at each one of these apps and talking about them. And again, a little bit about the Google Drive as well. So let's get started. And the path to Google Apps is basically you're going to log into your Gmail account and you're going to use the Apps button, which looks like this. It's got the 3x3 dots. And so I'm going to jump into my Google Apps, Gmail account first. And let's do that so that you can see it. And then up in the right-hand corner, you're going to see my Google Apps button. So I'm going to click there. And so what I'll be doing is I'll be jumping in and out. And so I wanted you to see, here are all the Google apps. And they change yearly, even sometimes every 6 months. So some of the apps will be taken away and some of the apps will be replaced with other apps. So again, it just depends on what Google wants to do. And so let's take a look at some of these. So let's go back to the presentation. So basically, Google Docs is one of the most famous and the one that is the most used. It's for word processing. Google Sheets is for editing and creating spreadsheets. And Google Slides is like PowerPoint, and that is to create presentations. So those are the first three that I'm just going to quickly jump into and just show you a little bit about each one of those. So I'm going to go to this Google Apps right here button. I'm going to scroll down and find first Google Docs. Now again, because I have a class that teaches Google Docs, I'm not going to spend too much time here, but I wanted you to see that this is the Google Docs environment, and you can use these templates to create documents. So this is a new blank document, and these are some templates, and there's more. So just like in Microsoft Word, Google Docs give you templates. And let's say I click on the blank document. One of the biggest differences from Microsoft Word to Google Docs or any of the Google Sheets or slide is that right here, you're going to just easily click at the top and type in a name for your document. So I'll type in, let's say, a demonstration. Oops, got to type right though. Here we go. So this is my demonstration file. And notice it says type to right here. I can start typing. And one thing I want you to know is every time I type, it is saved automatically to that name called demonstration file, where it's saved onto the cloud, which is the drive, the Google Drive that it comes with your Gmail account. So your Gmail account comes with 15 gig of space on the drive, the Google Drive, and every time you create a document or you upload a document from Microsoft Word, let's say, that document is sitting on the cloud. And so every time you type, I don't know if you can see this right quickly, you can see that it says saving. So it's saved to the drive. Now, how do I get out of this document? Or most importantly, how would I ever share it with other people? There's the share button. And how do I get out of it? There's the Docs home button. And then you have a menu here and you have a toolbar which helps you format. So I'm going to go back to the Docs home. And in the Google Docs environment, it'll show you the document that you were working on. And to open it right back up again, you just click on it and it opens the file. So there's no file close, no file save. It's a lot easier. You're typing, it's automatically saving. You want to click the Docs home button to get out of the file. You click on Doc home and that brings you back to the Google Docs environment page. And so that document has been saved on the Google Drive and you're able to see it and open it here. Now, I'm going to go back to the apps on the right-hand side. Here's my apps button. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to scroll down. And how about Google Sheets? So if I click on Google Sheets, you're going to see very similar type of environment. So you're going to see it, Google Sheets is similar to Excel, and you're going to see that you're able to create a blank document or use one of these templates, or open a file that you've already used down here at the bottom. I'm going to click on a blank document, which is really a workbook. And notice it looks very similar to Excel. It has a menu. And again, the first thing I would do, I would come up and I would type in a name. So this is my, let's say I'm going to be creating a budget. And so there's the name. And so every time I type something in one of these cells, it's going to automatically save it to that name budget on the cloud, which is the Google Drive. So what I think I'll do is I'll type in some numbers. And all I'm doing is, hold on a second, hitting enter after I type. And if I want to put a decimal place in, I certainly can type the decimal place just like in Excel. If I want to format these, I'll take these and highlight them and use the $ on this toolbar to format them as money, just like in Excel. Now, the thing about wanting to add them up, so in Excel, I would click in an empty cell and use my auto sum. So here's my functions button in Google Sheets, and I want to sum, and so then I would highlight these cells. I could highlight them prior, or I can highlight them while I'm doing the formula and enter that in. So it's a little less automated than Excel, but it definitely works and has pretty much the same features, the same basic features. If I wanted to add and subtract and multiply, divide, let's say two numbers that weren't touching, just like in Excel, I would start off with the equals. I would click on this number 10. Maybe I want to add it, use the plus sign, click on the number 5, and hit enter. So if you've used Excel before, you're going to feel very comfortable using Google Sheets. Now this is free, so some of us don't have a Microsoft Office 365 account, or we were using it at work and then at home we didn't want to maybe purchase a subscription. And so we've decided to use Google Sheets, Google Slides, and Google Docs for free. And someone asks a question, how fast must your internet connection be? That I don't know how much bandwidth you need. You'll be able to tell when you are working whether the software is responding or not. So I'm not sure about the bandwidth, but I'm pretty sure any bandwidth that you get, any internet connection from even just using Wi-Fi at, let's say, McDonald's is going to be good enough to use these products. And then remember, everything is being saved automatically. And if I want to get out of this case, it's a budget. I'll click on the Sheets button and it will bring me back to the Sheets environment. And then let's go back over to the Apps button. So again, this is an overview. Let me know if you have any questions about each and every one of these. But I'm going to now go to Slides. And again, a similar environment. a blank presentation or using a template or opening up any presentations that you've created prior. So if I click on a blank presentation, looks very similar to PowerPoint. It has a slide in the middle. You'll notice there are a menu across the top, and so there is a slide tab on the menu. So it would be new slide if I want to create a new slide, and apply a layout. So if I want to change the layout. So it's a little different terminology and very similar and same terminology as using PowerPoint. But again, this is a free product. And if you've ever used Microsoft Office before, you'll have a very easy time transferring your skills over to using any part of the docs, the slides, or the sheets. So say, for example, I like this layout here, and remember, I want to start typing in these text boxes. Before I do, I think I'll come up here and give it a name, and I'll call this my MassHire presentation. So everything that I type is now being saved, as you can see right here, just like it's being saved to the drive, so the Google Drive. And then I want to add a new slide, so I'll go to Slide, New Slide, and type into this slide, add some pictures, do whatever I want with this presentation. So it is very similar. Look at the top right up here. Here's a slideshow button. So I can start the slideshow and run a slideshow right from here as I'm doing right now. I can hit escape and get out of the slideshow just like I would in PowerPoint. So the tools and the menu are different than the ribbon that you're using in PowerPoint or in Excel or in Word. But again, once you understand the environment and once you understand that there's a menu and some toolbar buttons that you can use, you will be able to transfer your skills. Notice on the right-hand side, themes pop up automatically. They don't, designs pop up in PowerPoint, but here are the designs in, let's see, let me choose this one, in slides. So I can apply it and apply it to all the slides, or I can apply it to just one of the slides and import the theme so I can use it over and over again. So these themes are sitting on the internet and I'm able to use them. Okay. All right. So let's go back using this button here. And we're going to go back to the slides environment. So remember, this is what slides looks like. Docs, similar environment. Always using a button at the top to get back. And sheets. So these are the three that are used most often, and reasons why people are using Google Apps. Not all reasons, but these three are a very good choice of using the Google Apps. And I did want to show you that anytime you go into the Apps button and you bring up one of these apps, it's going to open it in its own tab at the top on the internet. So notice I already have Google Sheets open, so I opened it again by going to the apps. I wanted to show you that you should always keep your eye up here. So if you wanted to go back, notice I have Google Docs open twice because I went back to the apps, and that can get a little confusing. So always remember that once you open Google Docs, it's in a tab on its own, Google Sheets, Google Slides. So you don't have to go back to the apps button and grab those apps that you've already opened. Unless, of course, you've used the X to close that out of the that tab out of the internet. Any questions about those three apps that you might be interested in using? Go ahead and put those questions in the chat, and I'll take a look at them. All right, you might be still typing. I don't see anything just yet. That'll give you just another second. All right. Someone says no questions. Thanks, Jan. All right. Well, thank you for saying that. Okay, so let's continue. So in our PowerPoint presentation that you're going to be getting today, again, we went over the Google Slides, Sheets, and Docs. So what is next that you might be interested in using? So to make video calls, you can make video calls up to using 32 people at a time. You can invite them to join in as a group using a specific link, and that's Google Duo. And Google Duo is an app that typically you would use on your phone in order to make these video calls. But again, you can certainly go, let's take a look. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to my apps button, everybody. And here's Duo. Take a look. It looks like a little video. And when you click on it, again, this app is going to open. A little bit slow, so let's let it. All right, start a call or create a group call link. So you add a phone number and you dial it. And so you can dial it through the internet, of course, or you can use it on your phone. Very simple, very easy, and it's Google. Now, some of you might have used Google Voice before. Google Voice also is an app that you can download on your phone so that when you're, for example, when we were remote, we weren't in the office at that time and we needed to make phone calls to you lovely people. And so how did we do that without sharing our own personal phone numbers? So we used Google Voice, which gives you a phone number and allows you to dial a person's phone number through that Google Voice so that when it reaches you or I call you, you'd be able to see that there's a phone number, but it's not my real phone number. It's my Google Voice phone number. So again, this would show an IP address or a Gmail address to someone who is going to be seeing it through the internet. But again, on the phone, it will just show you the link as well. All right, let's go back. The next app, which I think is really cool, is Google Books. And Google Books allows you to rent and save books from what we call the largest ebook store that you'll ever find. So you can read, you can highlight, you can take notes, you can use your web, so your internet, you can use your tablet, you can use your phone. So there's an app for the phone, just like there's an app for the PC. And so you're able to do that. So let's take a look at that. So someone asks, can someone using Google Voice, can they call you back? Absolutely. So what happens with Google Voice is when they call you back, it goes to voicemail a lot of the times. And so if you have a Google Voice account, you call out to people. If they call into that same number, you check your messages. You can set it up a little differently, but that's how we've set it up so that you can check your messages and see who's called back. Yes. All right, let's go to Google Books. Here it is, looks like a book. So notice it says, search the world's most comprehensive index of full text books. So I'm going to depend on you, everyone. So go ahead. The first person who puts it in the chat wins. What is a book? What's the title of a book that you would like me to look for? And see if it's in Google Books. Remember, this would be free. I'd get to read it online because I have a Gmail account. Anyone? Peter Rabbit. Let's see. The Tale of Peter Rabbit. There it is. Go ahead when I click on read. It takes just a little bit of time to pop up. And there it is. So any book. And I've got grandchildren, so this is a great tool for that we use. So that way there we can look at the books and maybe not own them. And again, it just depends on your bandwidth and how much, maybe a little slow. So you know how when you're downloading an app on your phone, it might take a little bit of time. But again, this should download fine. All right. And then you can do a clear search, or you can go back and do previous or next. And so take a look at the previous pages and the next pages, or view all pages so that you can just click and take a look at a page. Okay. And this doesn't cost anything. This is free, everyone. Why? Because you have your free Gmail account. So everyone, let's make sure that you understand. When you have a Gmail account, right? It's a free Gmail account. There's my Gmail account. These apps, all of these apps are free with this Google account, with your Gmail account. You get 15 gig of free space that is, you can save documents on the OneDrive, on the Google Drive, and all of these other apps. So the Google Docs, the Google Sheets, the Google Slides, Google Duo, the Google Books are all free. Okay, does that make sense, everyone? So when we were looking at Google Books, I'm just backing up. This is what Google Books looks like. And how did we find it? We went to the app, we scrolled down, and we had books. And that's why one of the questions that I asked you in the beginning was if you had a Gmail account, it would be important for me to know. And for some of you that said no to a Google account, well, that's okay. You can create a Gmail account, a Google account free right after this training. And all you need to do is put in, your email, make up an email and with the Gmail extension, and typically they ask for your birth date, and on you'll go, and you'll get all of these apps free. All right, let me take a look at the chat and see if there's any other questions. All right, so someone says, this is awesome. Never knew about the other Google apps. Yes, a lot of the times you hear more about Google Docs and Sheets and Slides, and some of these other apps you didn't even know existed. And like I said, they do change. So you might have had a favorite app and now it's gone. But let's go back to the PowerPoint presentation. And remember, you'll get these slides, so you'll be able to see each one of these apps and what's available. Now, the next app is the Google Blogger, where you can create your own blog. So if any of you have recipes or a passion about any topic and you'd like to start writing about it or sharing pictures, you can be a blogger. It's easy, it's free, and where is it? Well, it's part of the Google Apps. So let's go take a look at so we're in Google Books. I'm just going to go up to the app button. You'll always see it in the upper right-hand corner. And we are looking for Blogger. And I'll show you the icon. Here it is right here. It looks like a bee with a yellow background. So I'm going to click on Blogger. And I can create a blog. And clicking on Create a Blog. And it allows me to, well, it wants to know what Gmail account I'm using. So I'm going to go in here again. And I'll put in my password again. And I just want to make sure that oops, I hit the wrong button. All right, that should work. And so now I can start choosing the name for my blog, putting in a title for my blog, and then doing next and start typing my blog. And notice it says at the top, you'll be joining the Web Creators Community. You'll be able to blog about news, anything, tips, inspiration, products. And this is through Google, of course. And then you'll be able to have people follow you, and you'll be able to follow the Google community as well on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and your blog will become part of YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter as part of the Google community. So you've got free advertising right here, and just take a look. You'll read a little bit about what this Google blogging is all about. All right. So someone has a question about the Google Drive. So let me show you now the Google Drive right here. So let's go back to the app. Any questions about the blogging? Anybody interested in doing a blog? Anybody have any great topics that you'd like to discuss? That would be the place to do it. All right, let's go back though right now to the Google Apps, and I'm going to show you that Drive is right here. So Google Drive is an app. It's part of all the other apps. So when you are saving and creating and saving and editing in docs, sheets, and slides, you've got a drive here that it's saving all of that to. So notice right here the Mass Hire presentation I created today and the demonstration file that I created today. So it just shows me two little icons here of what I created. And then as I go down, I'll be able to see all the other documents that I created. And there's my budget that I created today at 9:43 a.m. And here are all the other files that I've either uploaded from Microsoft Word. So I uploaded them from maybe my PC and put them up into the Google Drive. Why would I do that? Well, if you got a resume and it's on your hard drive, and let's say you go to an in-person job fair someday soon, and you forgot or you needed more resumes printed, well, you have to go home and get it. No, if you put your resume up on your Google Drive, so if you upload it to Google Docs and then it sits on the My Drive, which is the Google Drive, we call it, and then it'll always be there. You'll always be able to log into your Gmail account. You'll always be able to look at your drive and see any files and open any files that you've got stored on this very safe cloud storage. And notice right here, I've only used 3.18 gigabytes of the 15 gigabytes free, and I can always buy more storage if I run out of space. And if I have files that, for example, this test document for training, if I want to delete it, I can just click on it and I can come up and here's the trash barrel and I can hit the trash barrel and remove. So I can remove and that'll free up space. So I can delete and that'll free up space. And I can, again, create Google Docs, sheets, slides, save them to the drive. All right, so I think that answers the questions that were asked in the chat. If you have any more questions, feel free to continue and put those in. All right, let's keep going. How about Hangouts? Have you ever heard of, could be now changed to Google Chat, but or it used to be, sorry, Google Chat. Now it's called Google Hangouts. Maybe you want to make a video call using Google Hangouts. Maybe you wanted just a conversation or a group of people that you have that you want to talk about tasks or files that you share or talk face to face as well. So this is another way of doing that with a group of people. And let's take a look at that. So notice it has the quotes in the green. So we're going to go back to the Google Drive. Why? Because that was the last thing I chose. Remember up here, I've got Google Doc, I've got my Gmail, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, Google Duo, Google Books, Google Blogger, My Drive. Now I'm going to go back and hit the apps, and eventually I might close some of those. But I am going to be looking for, let's see, where is it? Oh, did I miss it? There it is, Hangouts right there. So right beside Duo is Hangouts. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And notice it knows my, so notice it says it's time to switch to Google Chat. So I'm going to go to Chat, but let me just close this for a second. So Google Hangouts, Hangouts is going away soon, it says, and so I would switch to Google Chat. So notice right here, I can move to Google Chats right here. I think I said it the opposite way earlier. So Google Hangouts is now changing over, and they're changing the name to Google Chat. All right. And so again, I can start a conversation. I can find a chat to join in, and I can start it. And notice it says active up here. So I can say do not disturb if I'm in here because I'm in a chat and I don't want to be disturbed by anyone else. And notice it says try the desktop app. And so a lot of the times I would highly recommend that if you're using the web app and you love it, great. But a lot of the times if you install the desktop app, if you're asked to do that, the desktop app sometimes is a little bit easier. It's like the phone app. So a desktop app may look very similar to the app that you use on the phone. And so if you're used to using the app on the phone, you might want the app on your PC to look very similar. But this is where you can go and start a chat and invite others to come and chat. Not only can you chat by typing, but also you can do video chat as well. All right, any questions with that? Let me know. All right, there's a question in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and look at it. Oh, this is a great question. I have permission to view some Google Docs from other agencies. So someone has shared a Google Doc with you. So let's say I go to Google Docs. I open up one of these documents and I decide to share this document with others. So I can click share and send you a link to the document if I know your email. And it doesn't matter really if you've got a Gmail or if you have a Verizon account, you still can share a document with others. So if I decide to share a document with someone else, I click or I type in their email, one person at a time, and then I can send them the link so that they can open the document. Now, that's the question that someone's asking. So they have permission because someone has allowed them to share a document. So someone owns the document and they're viewing it. Now, the question is, though, that these documents that you're sharing do not count against any allowed gigs of space. Well, the way Google works is any Google Docs that you've created or that is shared with you does not count towards your 15 gig. It's any documents that you upload, like from Microsoft Word or from Excel or PowerPoint, that are going to count towards the 15 gig. So anything that you create in Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides does not count towards your 15 gig, and any documents that are shared with you that you're opening and you're editing, let's say, with others or viewing with others, they do not count as well. So that was a great question. Hopefully I didn't confuse anyone. I just wanted to show you that you can share with groups, and when you share with someone, let's see, when you share with someone, they will get an email and then they'll be able to open the document and in real time share it. So someone else might be editing. You can talk to each other over here by doing just little messages and chats as well, and edit the document at the same time, but that is not taking up space. If you went to File, Make a Copy, it is still a Google Docs document. So if it's still a Google Docs document, then it will not take space on your 15 gig. But if you uploaded a file from, let's say, Microsoft Word, and the way you upload is very simple. It's the open file picker here. If I went to upload a document, whatever document that I selected from my hard drive, let's say. So let's say I go to my documents file and I find this master document and I hit open. That is going to take up part of my 15 gig. All right, but that document, where does it go? It goes to the My Drive, but it also opens in Google Docs, and there it is. Okay, so again, a little bit more information you can always Google because we're going to move on to some of the other apps, but that was a great question, and I always want to make sure that I answer those questions. Any clarification anyone needs? Feel free to put that in the chat. I'll be glad to stop for a second and clarify anything that we went over. All right. Well, you might be typing like I said before, but I will always take a look in the chat. So let's go back to the next app is called Keep. So how many of you use the Notes app on your phone? Go ahead, let me know in the chat. All right, so someone says they downloaded one that they don't like. Someone else says no. Someone else says yes. Of course, all of you are going to have different answers. This is great. Thank you for answering. So if you're using Notes on your phone, it's the same type of idea here within Google Apps. You're able to take notes by speaking. You're able to put in images and text. But the nice thing is you can share those notes, and I know you can do that on the app for your phone. You can set reminders and you can edit what we call labels. So where is it? Well, let's take a look. It looks like a little light bulb on the yellow background. So we're going to go back to our, in this case, we'll go to Google Docs because that's where we were last. And I think I'll close that environment. And there we go. So again, we look up at the top. We don't want any duplicates up here. You can always close them and you're still in Google Docs. And this is, oh, Google Duo. Oh, I just closed Google Docs. That's funny. That's okay. I'll open it again if we need it. So again, any one of these, Google Books, Google Blogger, My Drive, Google Hangouts, you always have the app right here to click on and to take a look at those other apps. And we are, just to remind you, I'm going to take a look. We are going to the Keep. So we're going to go back and take a look in the apps for the yellow icon for Keep. And there you'll see it. Now, Keep, again, opens up another tab on the internet. Of course, if you keep these all open, you need a lot of bandwidth, right? So eventually I might be closing some of these. But notice, notes on the left-hand side, you can take a note. So you can type in any text and take a note. Notice you can have a background option. You can add in an image if you want to. And where do these images come from? They would come from your hard drive or OneDrive that you might be using with Microsoft. And so let's say I open the MassHire logo in this note, so I can do that as well. You'll always be able to set a reminder on the left-hand side, edit what we call a label, so you can actually create a label with the note so that people will know what it's about. And let's see if I go to notes again. Notice on the right-hand side, I can, let's see the new list. And I can add a plus sign and add a title to the list. And then notice right here, I can add people. So again, I might have a title of the note. So this might be about training. And then I can add a list item. So it's going to be about Google training. And I can add many lists here. So I also want to talk about Excel training. And then I also want to collaborate with others about this note. So I'm going to click on collaborate and I can add in a person's email here and save it and share the note with them. All right. All right, I'll cancel that. So it's a pretty simple tool to use. And anytime you want to know a little bit more, let's say you want to, instead of jumping in here and you're just not sure how to use it, you can always click a tab on the internet, of course, and type in how to use Google Notes, for example, and hit enter. You'll be able to see what, oh, in this case, yep, Google Keep is on the right. There you go. And so, oops, hold on a second. So again, you'll be able to read about it. You'll be able to watch a video on it. And there's more videos. And then you'll see step by step how to use Google Keep. All right, how to do Google Note. So again, 15 ways students use Google Keep. and again, reasons for using Google Keep. So any of the apps you could certainly do how to use and go ahead and put in one of the Google apps and you'll get a beautiful website and more information on how to use it. All right, any questions? Let me know. Okay, I think I'll close some of these just to give us a little bit more to the blogger and the books and the duo. I'll leave the Google Sheets slides and the drive open in case you have any other questions. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint. And the next one is Jamboard. Now, Jamboard is a whiteboard. It lets you work together with a team. So it's a digital whiteboard. I don't know if you've ever used a smartboard before. Okay, so it lets you search the web, lets you use any of the apps and any of the mobile apps, and you can share, we call it your jam session, with other people, as long as they're on some sort of either a device like a mobile app device, so a tablet or PC or a phone. And so there can be 50 people on one session and be able to use that Jamboard. So notice it says on a PC you can use a Jamboard to write and draw. So you use either a mouse or a trackpad. You're going to be able to search Google and insert images and web pages. You're going to be able to drag and resize text and images. And you're going to be able to use your Jamboard on any Google Meet video as well. So your video call. And so it's quite easy. Let's go take a look. It looks like a J. Let's go ahead and go back to, I'll go to My Drive, and I'll go to the app button. And you'll find Jamboard right here. So again, these are all free. So someone asks, is it necessary to use Google Chrome browser for Google Apps? I'm using Windows Edge right now for my Google Apps. Every time I log into Gmail using the Windows Edge or Firefox, it always prompts me to use Google Chrome. And so it's totally up to you. I, for some reason, just love Windows Edge. And but a lot of the times I'll say yes, switch over to Google Chrome as well. It won't matter. All right, so two truths and a fib was a recent jam, and I can see by looking at these actions that I could download it as a PDF or remove it or rename it. When I click on it, it'll open, and it was dated 1/20. And so this is what was created and shared. And again, look at the tools on the left-hand side. So you can hit the back button. And you can see what these, so this is a Jamboard, right? And it's owned by different people. So you could say, I just want to see all of the Jamboards owned by me. So that one wasn't owned by me. That was put on by and shared with me. But notice I go owned by anyone, and that will pop up back again. And you're able to create your own Jamboards as well. So here's the plus sign at the bottom right. So I can click on New Jam, and the screen will change. And looks like a document, right? So I can set a background. I can start and adding, using these tools. So here's an eraser, here's a pen, here's a select button, here's a sticky note that I can put in. I can add an image using this button here on the left. And notice I can draw a circle or a text box. So if I click on a text box, and I'm going to just click over here, and there is the text box, and I can type inside it. And what's the advantage of a text box is it's a floater. So you're always able to grab on to the border of a text box and grab it and move it around. So that's an advantage of using a text box. You can always use your handles to widen the text box or narrow the text box as well. Again, you can add a picture in. I'll click on the add picture. You can upload a picture. You can find a URL that has a picture. You can go to your camera. You can do a Google image search, or you could find a picture that's on your Google Drive, or go to Google Photos. And Google Photos is another app where you're able to store your photos free. So again, I'll go to Google image search, and let's see. It's just taking it some time. All right, so maybe I'll just do upload instead because I think that'll be quicker. I'll go to browse, and I'll take this little kitty and add it in. And there it comes. All right, now because I had my text box selected, that the kitty went over my text box. So I can always hit undo in the upper left-hand corner, and never click on your text box when you're adding in a picture. So again, keep that in mind that you don't want to have this selected, or the picture will go over it just like it does in Microsoft Word. All right, so this is a Jamboard that you can share. Very similar, you might be saying that this is like a document or Google Docs, but no, because, well, yes and no. So it's considered a whiteboard that works with any of the G Suite services. So it's going to work with Google Docs. It's going to work with Sheets. So it is a board where people can add to it. 50 users at the same time can be using the Jamboard. All right, any questions with that? Just let me know. So someone asks, how would you add a phone call onto a Jamboard session? And you know what? I don't know that answer. I don't know how you would add a phone call. Is that something that even I can do? So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit the plus sign up here, and how to add a phone call to a Jamboard. I am not even sure. So I always like to Google and find out the answer, so I can show you how to find out the answer as well. And so a lot of the times watching a video is a great idea. I don't see right off the bat where my answer would be. But if you take a look and just read a little bit more about this, I don't know if you can add a phone call to a Jamboard. So I'd have to investigate that a little bit more. But it says here, if I watch these videos, I might be able to, how to add and merge calls on the iPhone. It maybe is only off the phone app. But again, good question. Looks like I've got some studying to do or investigation to do. All right, good question though. Okay, let's go to another app. So Google Classroom. So Google Classroom, have you heard of this before? So it is a way to teach within a Google Workspace, but it is typically for schools or for educational facilities, and you need to sign up through, it's free, but you need to sign up using your school account or your educational account. So it can't just be a personal Gmail account, but teachers will have a Google account that is part of their school, or it might be a professor that's part of the, maybe it's a community college, and you have a classroom where students can submit their work. So let's take a look. You still have it available in this Google app. So let's go to the Google apps. Let's go down and find, here it is, Google Classroom. When I click on Google Classroom, let's take a look at what comes up. So it says add a class to get started. You can either join a class or you can create a class. So when I click on create a class, see what comes up. It says, if so, your school must sign you up for a free Google Workspace for Education account. So even though you've got the app and you're able to click on it, you need to have a Google Workspace for Education account. And notice I'm going to click here, I've read and understood. And if I click continue, then it wants to know what class I'm going to create. So again, it's not well, it is verifying as I go, but notice I can put a class name, I can put a subject, I can put what a room is online, and then I can create it. So let's just say I do some Excel training and basics. Oh, let's see. That's right. I've got to choose from the list here. So notice, again, because it's based on high school or school, notice here these choices. So I would have to have more of a school account in a school atmosphere to really use Google Classroom the best. But let's see if I can create it right here just so you can see. Yeah, it seems to be looking for my Google Workspace. Oh, good, it's working. All right, excellent. All right, so here's what it looks like. So I can stream this. I can do classwork and assigned classwork. I can create classwork. I can go to people and share with other teachers and students. And then I can also start to put in grades and invite the students to take a look at what their grades are. So streaming means live. I'm going to teach something live and have a classroom of people in my Google Classroom setting. And so I'd set up my stream settings right here. And the gear is always the settings button. And you'd set this up. So again, we're not going into each one of these apps in depth, but I wanted you to see that they're available. And as long as you have a need for them, then you definitely want to be able to use them. Notice there's a code here. So again, you would typically get from your organization something that would signify that you're able to create a Google Classroom. Okay, the next one is Google Collections. This is a really cool app. It's a bookmarking app. See, it lets you search on Google anything on the internet, but then lets you save the links or the images or any of the URLs, the websites that you found, all in one place, and then use them again. So if you've searched the web for, let's say, pictures, and you found a great website, you might want to put that website into what we call Google Collections. You might find websites on different topics. Links to websites that you want to use can be placed into the Google Collections. And you can use them later as well. So it's a great way to search the whole entire internet and then put in one place, maybe per topic. It depends on how you'd like to organize this, but you're actually able to then go back and do this. And this is, someone puts, this is terrific. And it is terrific, depending on the type of job you have, of course, and the research that you do. So if you're always doing research for whatever, it might be your personal life, it might be a particular topic you're interested in that you want to blog about and use the blogger. But then you're gathering all this information and putting into what we call Google selections. So let's go find the Google collections, I should say, collections. All right, let's go back. It's too early in the morning. All right, let's go to Google Apps, everybody. So we're in Google Classroom. Now we're going to Google Apps. And here are collections. So I already put some images in here, and I'm able to select and delete or move these. So if I wanted to select this, I would select it, and then I'd be able to use it again. I could move it. So if I click on move to, I can move it to another collection if I wanted to. I can copy and paste it. Notice 3 little dots on the right hand side. I'm able to share it as well with others. And then notice this button here. When I click on it, it allows me to now go and type somebody's email so that I can share. I can even put it on Twitter and Facebook if I want to. I can copy the link to that particular picture and share it within any email group if I was part of that email group as well. So how does that work? Notice it says new collection. So you can create and call them favorite items or products that you like. And so you can save it. Now, let's take a look. So there's an add to button that you're going to be able to use. So let's take a look. New collection, I'll just call this test. There we go. Now I'm going to click on start a search. Notice it brings me right to Google. Okay, notice it says Google recommends using Chrome. That's okay, I'm not going to switch at this point. So I'm going to take a look, and I'm going to put in some topics or a topic or a picture that I might be interested in finding. And so I'm just going to put in here beach real quick. And so again, here is a bunch of beach pictures. So I'm going to click on the beach. And there is an add to button that I am going to be able to use. Oops, sorry, I just went to that website instead. Okay, maybe that's not the greatest picture. All right, let me go back. Pretty sure you can search for anything. So topics, pictures, anything at all. Let me see if I can click on this one. Oh, so these are 40 best beach quotes. So these aren't actually pictures. All right. So let's go to Google Images instead. All right, Google Images, beach. Oh, brings me to the same thing. All righty. Okay, kind of been a loss here for a second. So if I click on this, I'm going to go to this website and then have to click again. Let's see if I can click again. Oh, so this is an iStock. Okay. Not having good luck here demonstrating this. All right, how about if I just show you how to use Google Collection so you can see the steps. So there's a video, but notice it says open the Google app, tap on the account icon in the upper right hand corner to go to that account or create a new one. And so then when you search, let's see, take a look at the whole guide so you can have it. I did this with the many pictures that I had in there. And so you're going to be able to see this is where we were in our collections. And we tapped on them. And that's where I came up with some other screen that I was not sure if I needed to be in. And so you're able to add that in. So again, all of the instructions you can just Google and quickly find. But let's go back to let's go back to that app. So collections, again, was one of my favorites of these apps. And like I said, I added some of these in. So without taking too much time, because we are finishing at 11, so I just want to, again, this was one of my favorites that I was so excited to show you, and for some reason I'm not able to do that today. I must be having a little brain freeze here. All right. So we did a new collection. We called it test. We did a start search. We searched for any topic. So let's say, again, it could be training, anything at all. So I'm going to find training images. Here we go, add to. So sorry about that. So I did training images. I clicked on a picture. Here's the three little dot button right here. Here's add to. So we add it to the collection. And then when we go back and we take a look at the collection, it should be part of that test. So I'll go and find another one. I'll click here. Here's the three little dots. Add it to the collection. And now let's take a look. So it is very simple. Let's see if I can go back and take a look. There we go. Here are my collections, everyone. There's the training picture that I just put in, and there is that other training picture that I just put in. All right, so that collections icon is the three little dots. And this will show you again if you want to delete from your collection or use it. Okay. What do you think, everybody? It really is a great tool. You can add websites, like I said. You can add pictures. It's a great place to add them all in one place so that in case you want to use them again. Okay, sorry for that little fumble there, but great. We had success, so that's good. I don't ever like to give up, and I like to make sure that we know how to use it. Okay, I'm sure you've heard of Google Earth before. It is something that you can find on your phone as well as, of course, on the PC. And it is such a neat app because you can look anywhere and find very closely any area of the world that you want to look at. So I'm going to go to the apps button. I think I'll close this just to get a little bit more. There we go. Here's my apps button. And then we'll go down and find Google Earth. Here we go. Look at all the apps that we haven't talked about yet. So hopefully we'll get to them by 11. Let's click on Google Earth. Google Earth is pretty simple. Let's see, it's still bringing everything up. But it allows you to find a place, zoom in on it, and take a look at it. Sorry, it's a little slow. All right, we're going to let it do its thing. Maybe I can close Google Slides and Google Sheets. And the drive. So it's waiting down here at the bottom. It's waiting for cache. So it's just getting a little tired. There we go. So it's a big web, it's a big software that's coming up. But you're able to notice here on the left-hand side, there's a search. So you can search. You can use a Voyager and go on a little voyage and see where it takes, or these other icons here on the left-hand side. You can save something towards a project. But let's say you take and you decide to move this around by dragging. You can do that. You can take and find a place in the world to double click and double click and double click. And notice it's getting larger and larger, and you can see the topography of the place that you're looking. And again, keep on going closer and closer and closer. So again, Google Earth is a pretty fun tool to use. All right, let's take a look at the other apps. Oh, let's see what's next, everyone. So Google Arts and Culture. This is also a pretty neat app. So artists and institutions of, so cultural institutions, they're working together to preserve really the art that is around the world and the culture that is around the world and now accessible to you no matter where you live. So Google Arts and Culture is a compilation of websites that you can gather and take a look at and look by artist. Let's take a look. So let's go ahead and go to the app, everybody. Here it is. Looks like a little coliseum. It's called Arts and Culture. And here's a home. You can click on Explore. And it's all, you can search for certain things that you might be looking for. But if you take a look, I'll just do Explore, and you take a look at all of the different, so artists, mediums, different movements in the art, any historical figures. So these are called playlists that you could click on. So there's 12,994 artists. So if I click on that, I will see the Van Gogh paintings and other paintings. So someone wants to know, maybe you're getting bored, what are the apps that can help us most in our job search? There's really not any job search apps within Google other than using Docs to put your resume up in the free MyDrive, using Sheets, using Slides. Practice those because those are similar to Excel and PowerPoint and Word. Those are going to be used most likely. You're going to be working for a company that uses Microsoft Office. And so those are the skills that you're going to need. And so most of companies that are using Microsoft Office, they also want you to know any of the Google apps as well, not these fun apps that I'm showing you, for example, the Google Arts and Culture, but more the docs, the sheets, and the slides, and also the MyDrive. So just knowing those is good for any job search. But again, just wanted to show you all the Google apps. That's what this class is about. So there are no apps that are really going to help you with your job search. So there's shopping apps and photo apps, and how about maybe Translate? Maybe there's some job that wants you to be able to be bilingual and you're not bilingual, but you have all the other skills. So you might be able to take, well, you will be able to take any text that you type. I'll just type the word hello and use Translate. So you might be able to click on Spanish and see and actually hear it as well. So that might help you with your job search, that maybe you're trying to learn a different language, and Spanish is, I'd highly recommend that you learn Spanish. So this will help you learn keywords in maybe you're working in a setting where you're an office admin or you're at a reception area. And so bilingual is going to be something that you need, or at least understanding some Spanish. So you could use this. It's called Google Translate. All right, what else might be good for your job search? Google Ads cost money. So if you had a business that you wanted to display on Google Apps using the Google Ads app, that will cost you a little bit of money. If you want to listen to a podcast or create a podcast, there's Google Podcasts. And I will say that the more up on social media you are, that's good for your job search. So there's Google, it used to be called Google Play Podcasts, and now it's called Google Podcasts. So it is, you can listen to it from your Android, from your iPhone, from Google Home or Google Assistant that you might have, like a, Siri type of thing, or Alexa. But Google Podcasts is part of the web, and you subscribe and you can listen to podcasts. Now, Stadia is a video game service, so that's another app that you might be interested in. It does offer free as well as premium subscriptions, and so that you might want to play some video games on your phone. And Google One. Google One is you pay for this plan to increase your Google gigabytes that you're given with your Google account. So it's a subscription service. Some of you said that you upgraded some of your accounts. So you get your 15 gigs free, and then that's shared across, your Gmail, your Google Photos, your Docs, and so forth. So this is Google One is the app where you can go to get more. Google Travel is a great tool to search for flights, to set up trips. Now, if any of you are in the travel business, this might be a tool that you might be asked to use. I know there's a lot of travel software that is much more sophisticated than Google Travel, but because Google Travel, it's not an app that you can download on your phone, so you can use it off the web, but it's a great place to search for flights, put in your itineraries, book hotels, and it's one place. It's a one-stop Google Travel app, so check that out when you have a chance. Google Forms is one of those other apps that you may be asked to use on a job because it allows you to create. It also allows you to share forms. Now, what could a form be? It could be a survey or some type of analyzing in real time. So somebody needs to ask questions, get the answers, and that is Google Forms. So Google Forms is right up there with Google Sheets, Google Docs, Google Slides. Google Forms are used. Very easy to use. If you go to the Google Apps button and you go to Google Forms, so take a look. It looks very similar to the Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides environment, right? You hit the plus sign for a blank form, or you can use one of these templates. To save time, I'll click on a template right here. These can be shared just like the Google Slides and the Google Docs and Sheets. And you put in a description of what the form is, a short name, an email that you might want to associate with it, an address, a phone number, and some comments. And then you start asking the questions and putting in what the responses might be. You can also see any responses to your questions. So this is where you're putting in the questions, and this is where you're seeing the responses. And then there's a settings button that helps you make a quiz, if it's a quiz or a form that you're going to be using as a default form for, let's say, HR, whatever it might be. So could I use this as an intake form? Sure. Yep, absolutely, someone asks in the chat. All right, so again, this was an overview of all of the apps. So Google Forms is the last app. Let's go take a look. We slid by fast some of these others, so let me take a look here. So we did not talk about the Google Calendar. That's an app that's part of Google Drive here, and Google Photos or Google Shopping. Those are, easy to use. You're adding in your photos, you're shopping and taking a look at some of the websites that you might want to save. And then Google Calendar, just wanted to show you. So when you create a calendar, you can share a calendar with others. And that is where you're seeing a shared calendar that I have with my daughter-in-law, and when I take care of kids and when I'm babysitting and what I'm doing in January, and I'll look at the past as well. So it's a nice way. Let's just give that an allow. So it's a nice way to create, oops, hold on, we're not going to share that right now. All right, so again, the calendar is over here on the left-hand side. Notice I'm able to move the calendar and go to the different months. I'm able to click on a day. I'm able to double click and create a meeting or an appointment. I can share it with others, invite others to come. It's very similar to a calendar that you might use in Microsoft Office as well. So I'm going to put a meeting. Let's say it is a certain time, and I can come down and invite others over here on the right-hand side. I can just type a description down here in the bottom. I am the owner of it. I'm just going to do a quick save right here. So on January 19th, I put a meeting right here. So that's the Google Calendar. And so we talked about the Drive. There's another one called Google Meet. You might be interested in doing Google Meet. So again, putting videos, creating videos, doing a link to share to a video, and that's Google Meet. And we'll go back to the apps button. So again, I wanted to show you all of there's Google Finance as well. That is a tool that may help with your budgeting and stocks and seeing. It's really just connected to the stock market, but you can see certain what's happening it keeps updating every second here, and then going down and taking a look at these individual ones as well. Going down and taking a look at today's financial news and top stories. So it's the Google Finance. All right, I think our time is up. Notice at the bottom, more from Google. So I wanted to show you this. When you click on more from Google, it's going to open up a website and show you the helpful products for everyone. So you can browse all the products here at one point and see what the people are using off of Google. You can watch a video. Again, learn about the products that we just went over. So the Google Classroom, the Google Workspace, the Google Meet, Google products. Look at them all for the Android, for the iOS, for the iPad, or for your phone. And again, look at all these Google apps. So of course we didn't do Tilt Brush or a Snapseed. So there are so many more that you might want to be interested in looking at. And the reason being is we went over some of the ones that were most popular. And the reason being is you want to be knowledgeable about Google Apps and what is available with your Gmail account, because you may be asked to access some of these, or people chat about these and talk about these as they're interviewing you, and you don't want to look like deer in headlights. You want to be knowledgeable about what these apps are. So I hope you found this interesting and enjoyable, I hope, and given you a lot of apps and thoughts to think of, and maybe even for your own, like this Google culture. You may be working in an industry where this is really important and you have to do some research. And here you are able to look at artists and all types of artistry and culture in one place. It's not just an email product. It is much, much more than that. And it's free. So I really wanted to show you all of those apps. So thank you for being with me today. Don't move just yet. Stick around, because what I'm going to be doing is a file transfer. So the file transfer, I'll put my email in the box here, the chat box. So the file transfer is a way for me to give you this presentation today. And so I'll easily be able to do that in just a minute. And